powerful women who ruled history and changed the world. For centuries, history books have been filled with kings, emperors, and conquerors. But what about the women who defied the odds and seized power? What about the queens, pharaohs, and empresses who ruled with iron fists, strategic minds, and unshakable will? Today, we uncover the legendary women who shaped history, and some of them ruled harder than any king. 1. Cleopatra VII of Egypt, 69 to 30 BCE. Our journey begins with Cleopatra VII, the last active pharaoh of Egypt. Fluent in multiple languages and a master of diplomacy, she was not just a queen, but a strategist who sought to preserve her nation's independence amid the expanding Roman Empire. 2. Pharaoh Hatshepsut, 1507 to 1458 BCE. The king in a queen's body. Hatshepsut wasn't just a queen, she was the pharaoh. In ancient Egypt, women weren't supposed to rule alone, so she did something radical. She dressed as a man, wore the pharaoh's beard, and ruled for over 20 years. While other pharaohs waged wars, she built temples, expanded trade, and left behind one of the grandest legacies in Egypt's history. But here's the twist. After her death, her name was erased from records. Why? Because history feared her power. Ever heard of a woman ruling as a king before? Comment Hatshepsut if you think she deserves more recognition. 3. Empress Wu Zetian, 624 to 705 CE. China's only female emperor. Now, let's talk about the only woman in Chinese history to declare herself emperor, Wu Zetian. She didn't just rule. She crushed opposition, restructured China's government, and made sure her name would never be forgotten. Some call her a ruthless villain, others a visionary leader. But one thing is clear. Nobody could stop her rise to power. 4. Queen Nzinga, 1583 to 1663, the warrior queen of Angola. Imagine facing colonial invaders, slavery and betrayal, and still coming out victorious. Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba did just that. When the Portuguese tried to take her kingdom, she outmaneuvered them with diplomacy, strategic warfare, and alliances. Legends say she even sat on one of her male servants when the Portuguese refused to give her a proper seat during negotiations. Now that's queen energy. Which female ruler do you think had the most legendary power move? Drop a name in the comments. 5. Queen Elizabeth I, 1533 to 1603, the Virgin Queen. I am married to England. That was Queen Elizabeth I's iconic response when asked why she never married. She ruled alone, crushed an assassination plot, and led England through one of its greatest golden ages. Oh, and she defeated the mighty Spanish Armada, one of the most powerful naval fleets in history. Talk about girl power. 6. Catherine the Great, 172-91796, Empress of Russia. How do you take over an empire? Catherine the Great knew the answer by staging a coup against her own husband. Once in power, she expanded Russia, modernized the country, and became one of the greatest rulers in history. And fun fact, she was obsessed with French philosophy and even wrote letters to Voltaire. Ruler by day, intellectual by night. 7. Empress Theodora, circa 500 to 548 CEE, Byzantine powerhouse. From actress to empress, Theodora changed the game in the Byzantine Empire. She was not just a ruler, she was a revolution. She passed laws protecting women, expanded rights, and even saved the empire from a massive revolt. When her husband, Emperor Justinian, was ready to flee, she told him, "Purple is the noblest shroud." In other words, she'd rather die a ruler than live a coward. 8. Joan of Arc, 1412 to 1431, France's warrior saint. She was just a teenage girl when she led an army to victory. Joan of Arc believed she was sent by God to save France, and she did just that. She led soldiers into battle, helped crown a king, and terrified her enemies. But her story took a tragic turn. Captured, accused of witchcraft, and burned at the stake. Today, she's a saint, but back then, she was a legend in the making. 9. Queen Victoria, 1819 to 1901. Ruler of the British Empire. Queen Victoria ruled the largest empire in history, literally. Under her reign, Britain controlled over a quarter of the world. But behind the royal image was a woman who defied expectations, survived assassination attempts, and changed Britain forever. Ever heard of the Victorian era? Yeah, she's the reason it exists. These women ruled nations, defied expectations, and left their mark on history. Yet, many of their stories remain untold. Now, it's time to change that. Who do you think was the most powerful female ruler of all time? Drop your pick in the comments. And if you love history, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another legendary story. Don't forget to like and share, because history is worth remembering.